This is Inside Out.
Welcome to this special edition of the Inside Out. With me, your man, Sir Simon Muyanga Lutaya. In this special episode, the unexpected happens. I think this is my first time directly to meet the Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement, Honorable Richard Todwong, but also the first time to come to the NRM Secretariat and enjoy the breeze around here. And I am glad. Richard, the thing has remained like this. Is this structure not shameful for a ruling party? Just see how your office looks.
Thank you, Simon. Let me first welcome you to the party head office. And indeed, you said it's your first time to come. I'm sure you must have seen things which are surprising you.
Yes.
We don't pride in structures. We pride in mentoring people.
In the works.
The party is more in the people than in the structures. So when you see a small head office, you might think the party is as small as the structure you see. But the party is as big as you can imagine.
I see people training in Swahili and the others. When did that
Yes.
program begin?
We have quite a number of programs. In the past, we were having ideological clinics that would help us to mentor our young upcoming leaders to understand
That was a bright idea.
party
Ideological
ideology.
clinics.
And indeed, we are still running them. We got a bit of a challenge in the middle when we had so many by-elections. So we got diverted in the many by-elections we were conducting. And we want to reactivate those ideological clinics because it helps us to understand the current affairs, political affairs and current issues, what concerns the public, and we discuss about them openly as party leaders. And we have also introduced Kiswahili, as you must have observed, because it helps us to widen our horizon in view of the East African Community Federation, because we know many of our young people are looking for jobs in the region. Many of them have failed to get jobs before because of Kiswahili. You know, in the region, it's only Uganda where Kiswahili is not widely spoken because of the history which is attached to it. So we are trying to encourage it to be spoken by young people so that they can widen their opportunities in the region. There are many jobs in Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, South Sudan, even in Burundi. But at times they are outcompeted because they don't know Kiswahili. Alongside, we have also introduced the art of public speaking. I'm sure you know that as a media person.
Yes, public speaking.
That communication is very key. How you articulate your point, how you develop your point, and how you communicate, and how you gauge that your point has been understood by the people. So we are developing all those critical areas to help our young people to nurture them into future leaders. Yes.
It is also said of your reign here that you have made the secretariat too quiet. It's not felt. It's coming down. All NRM work, or what would be done by the secretariat, is done elsewhere. You hear some or see things more than you hear the secretariat, and it is you, the man in charge.
Not that is a misnomer. You know, when you don't understand society, when you don't understand mobilization, you might think mobilization is shouting, going around on radio, talking everywhere. That is not mobilization. I allow my work to speak for myself. If someone can whisper to you, I have done a lot in my silence than in making noise. And I'm sure when you came here, you have seen how many people are cruising to NRM.
I see.
Yes, and from the time I've been in this office, I am receiving people cruising from other parties to NRM. And also at times it's good as leaders to listen from the public, listen about, understand the pulse of the community. What do they feel? And also, you see, now this is something which is philosophical. A party which has sponsored a government in leadership should work hard to make that government perform. True. Because we are already known by the people who voted for us in government.
True.
My take would be I need to supervise government for government to deliver to the expectation of the public. Because if I go to the public to speak, oh, we are good, NRM is good, you know, we are very good, we are doing this, then the people will tell you, no, PDM is not working well, Our roads are bad. We don't have power. We don't have jobs. We don't have medicine hospitals. We are paying for schools. We are doing for this. And you're saying you're good. That means a good party would start with government. So that if I go out as a Secretary General, I say, yes, we know we have sent you money under PDM. Have you received this money? We have not received. Why? The why now, it is not the public to answer. The why, it is the government to answer. That is the logic. Under our plan, we are saying we have primary schools in every parishes. How many parishes are without primary schools in this district? They have this number. The people cannot tell you why they don't have schools. It is the government to answer. We don't have medicine in hospitals. People are paying for medication, and yet we are saying hospitals should be free. It is not the same people who are paying that you should go to government. So 60 to 70% of my work is to make sure that government delivers. In Buganda, here people talk of land grabbing, land issues everywhere, even in Busoga. Okay? Now, the community are not the land grabbers. The land grabbers are people, allegedly, people in government.
So I need to confirm. Why do you say allegedly? Confirm.
No,
the land grabbers are with you in the government.
Yes, the court should confirm, but allegedly they cry that. So it is, we need to clean ourselves internally in order to speak with pride when we go to the public.
So do you also recognize that internally there are mistakes within
Definitely.
But they say the president does not want to hear that. How do you survive?
No. A big organization like NRM, definitely you can't rule out. We have members who come from all sorts of backgrounds. We have combination of all sorts of backgrounds and issues and interests. And some of these are not party interests. They are individual interests. But they use the cover of being in the party and in government to cause chaos, to cause mayhem to the public. And that is what the party should stand against and condemn.
How does the office relate to the ONC office in Chambogo? You confuse the common person, the voter.
No.
Where is Museveni's ear? With the Todwong or with someone else in the Chambogo?
The Pan-Africanists say many fronts but one struggle. We relate well with the office of the national chairman. If anything, they are within the constitution, they fall under the national secretariat. And by the way, something that people don't understand, that the young people in that office do communicate to the young population much more than, I would say, the elder leaders we have at the secretariat.
True.
I would tell you that. If tomorrow I go to the young audience, because our thinking and appreciation of things are different. The language we use, the words we use, the jargons we use are quite different.
The history you have.
The history I have is different. I'm speaking about the history of there was no peace in Uganda. I've just told you about my history.
Of Amin.
A young man who is sleeping hungry in the ghetto say, what is that?
Know Amin. Who was Amin?
Take someone who can communicate his language. And that is the beauty of having many of these offices, to communicate to the different sectors of the population. Me, the people of my generation, you and others would understand my story. Okay? You would understand the journey I've traveled up to here. You would understand the purpose of stability, the purpose of peace, the purpose of unity. You would understand these things. But to someone who sleeps on a mandazi a day, someone who sleeps in a grass thatch house in a city, someone who has to get 1,000 shillings per day to buy porridge, to drink, our story doesn't make sense to him.
So according to you, is your NRM growing stronger or weaker?
One, NRM is growing stronger in the sense that there is still a lot of hope in NRM.
Where?
From the public.
Where?
The hope is, listen, the hope is the others have failed. When you look at our comrades in other political parties, there is total chaos in UPC, there is chaos in DP, there is chaos in FDC, there is chaos in NUP. NRM is stable and firm. So it gives that hope to the public. Now, we need to pursue that hope with a tangible branding and tangible evidence. And then that is why we say the party has to brand, because 78% of the population are people below 50 years. Actually, about 40 years. Now, most of these people were born during the NRM regime. Okay, they have not seen Amin, they have not seen Obote, they have not experienced the history of this country. They have been educated by NRM. They have been immunized by NRM. They have refused to go to the villages. They're in urban areas. They expect jobs. They expect good lives.
True.
So our stories don't match their needs. So we need to brand so that we speak what they feel. We need to create more jobs. And that is when you hear the president keeps talking of creating wealth for everybody,
Yes.
inviting investors to come and create jobs.
Yes.
We need to make sure that that is now the communication the president is trying to give out to the population. When they say we need to reskill these young people, because our education system has brought in so many of these young people who are job seekers. They're not job creators. Now, if you ask yourself, how many universities do you have in Uganda? About 40, both public and private universities. And every academic year, how many people do we graduate? And all of these we graduate are job seekers. And how many jobs do we have in the country? Public service, a population of 45 million people, the whole public service of Uganda is less than 600,000. Those who are paid by consolidated fund. Police, the army, veteran, prisons, civil servants, both at national and local level, everybody in government is less than 600,000.
When you meet the president, I know
So
you do.
when you look at that, government jobs are now completely packed. Others are permanent and pensionable.
True.
And then every year you are graduating young people who are looking for jobs. So the only thing is offload them to private sector. When you offload them to private sector, what do? You need to make the economy perform for private sector to come in to absorb these many people. And when private sector comes to invest, we need to build the capacity of our young people to be able to get jobs in this private sector, because these are industrialists. They want technical people. They don't want people who speak good English. They don't want administrators. They want someone who can run the machine, someone who can supervise this and that. These are the kind of skills that are needed.
So can speak about a product, then you can sell it.
Exactly. So that is the dilemma. It is not only the tragedy of Uganda, but it's for the whole sub-Saharan Africa. If you look at all the cities in sub-Saharan Africa, we are faced with this.
The same challenge.
Kenya, Tanzania, everywhere. Young people are looking for jobs, and the jobs are not there to match their skills.
Fast forward, how is your flagship program working? Because this term was premised on the PDM thing. That PDM where you thought you are going to put money and allow it to be in the money economy. As a Secretary General, do you follow up? How is PDM performing so far?
PDM was a good program, and indeed it's a good program, because it addresses the issues of taking money direct to the beneficiary. It was calculated based on a farmer having 1 acre of coffee plantation, where you spend like 400,000 to prepare the garden and buy the seedlings, and then the other 600 is for you to manage the garden. So each beneficiary is supposed to get 1 million shillings according to PDM the program. Now the challenge is, for you to qualify to get the money from a parish, you must have been trained in the enterprise you have selected, and then you must have been given a certificate. And that is where the money is taking long to reach the beneficiaries, because the people who are supposed to do the training are few, and the people who are supposed to be trained are very many. So you find money is stuck in the account, the disbursement rate is very low, and that is why people are complaining. But I'm sure government has not taken note of this, and they're trying to work around the clock to make sure that this money gets to the people. For example, my district, it's a very small district. We have close to 4 billion shillings stuck in the district account. It has already been disbursed to the beneficiaries. Why? Because selections were done. The beneficiaries have not been trained according to the guideline of PDM. They have to be trained. If you want to do poultry, piggery, all these enterprises, you must be trained.
You must be
and
trained.
You must be
True,
given
must
a certificate
be
of training. So that is what is delaying the disbursement rate of the fund. But others, it's a very good project. Those who have benefited and got the money can testify. Many have benefited.
On the inside out, with Richard Todwong, Mr. Secretary General, do you tell the president that Ugandans are outrightly fed up of him, or you don't see it? Ugandans are tired of Mr. Museveni, Mr. Secretary General. I hope you are not bringing him
I don't think
soon.
Ugandans are tired of Mr. Museveni. Ugandans are not. These are just a reflection of what they feel should be done better. There is a sense of frustration. There is a sense of, if people talk of corruption, what have we done about corruption? Can you do much more than what you're doing? If people are crying about paying small fees when they go to Mulago, when they go to Chirudo Hospital, can we put our staffs to order to make sure that nobody pays for this. When people are talking about poverty, can we do a little more to make sure that how many leaders do we have? What are these leaders doing? You see, when you decentralize these issues, you can say, okay, how many members of parliament do we have? What are these members of parliament doing in their constituency to augment what the national interest is in their area? How much money do we send? Because you see, if you're saying government has failed, that means government is not sending money to local governments. Government is not implementing its programs. Government does not have money for this and that. But money is dispensed every financial year. Every quarter, Minister of Finance is giving out money for projects, for programs, for
But what's the
government.
purpose of sending money that people are just eating?
So the issue is
swindling.
These people who are swindling, who are eating, should be our concern. All of us, we and you, the public. Make sure, because we have always told our leaders at the branches that for every quarter, let the district councillors, let the district people know, the RDCs should go on the radio, the cows should go on the radio, that this quarter our district received this amount of money for A, B, C, D. And if it's a project, the project is going to be handled within this period, and this is the contractor. When you're handing over a site to a contractor, invite the public. Let them be the one to help you supervise this. But most of these are not done. If you follow keenly, most of these local governments have money in their accounts which are stuck. They start bringing issues of procurement, delays in this and that, but money is in the accounts. Why? Because of weaknesses of leaders in some areas.
Given those areas, would you advise Mr. Museveni to return again for another election? Because you sound like you still believe in him. You are not with many Ugandans who believe that this man should retire.
By the way,
peacefully now, not tomorrow, but today.
Leadership is about understanding the key basics. It's not about terms of office and changing this to that. No. Of course, at the right time, I know President Museveni will retire.
But how soon
is that? At the right time.
How soon is that?
But you see, it is not the issue is not President Museveni. Wealth creation, poverty, and all this is not about Museveni. It's about all the leaders and everybody. If you wake up in the morning and instead of going to work, you are drinking. If you wake up in the morning instead of looking for something to do, you are just seated. Do you blame the president on that? Do you blame the president on that?
No.
If others are rich and you are poor and you're from the same village, do you blame the president that you're poor and others are rich?
No.
No. It's about hard work. The president gives us the macro environment. There is stability, there is peace and stability in the country. We have done roads everywhere. There is tarmac. You connect from one corner of the country to another on tarmac. There is electricity everywhere. We have rural electrification. Every sub-counties almost now have electricity. There are schools everywhere. There are health center, district referral hospitals everywhere. Now, what more do you want the president to do? Because it's a give and take. From your home to those national connections, it is your responsibility. The president cannot open a road from your house to the sub-county road. If you are sick, you are the one who should go to the health center 3. If there is a school in your parish, you are the one to go and register your child in the school. If there is money for Emioga, for PDM, you are the one to go and look for that money and register and benefit from the money. The president will not come to your house and tell you, go, the money has come to your village. No. So where do you blame the president on? That is failure of leadership at all levels.
You are reading newspapers, watching TV, you should also be able to show you what we are doing online.
I do this, you see.
People are tired of your president. They are saying either BOBI WINE or Muhoozi, Mr. Secretary General. People are tired.
Leadership is not about lamentation or about, it is not performance art. It is not excitement. It is not entertainment. We are dealing with real issues. Transformation of a people is not something small. It's not something that, when you read about policies in economy, say policy cycle takes 20 years. For a policy to mature, for the impact to be seen on the people, it takes 20 years. How many years has Museveni been to power? How many policies have we designed? So
but are you watching? Have you watched the crowds that BOBI WINE is having these days? Even from Arua, imagine.
It speaks to what we have been.
People swept streets in Arua for where you come. That side you come from.
That same crowd, even if today, God forbid, BOBI WINE becomes the president, that same crowd will still turn against BOBI WINE. Why? Because the structure of our education system and the economy is designed in the way that it may not immediately answer the concern of those young people running after Bobi Wine. You ask yourself, we were in Oima for campaigns. Bobi Wine went to Oima and the crowd followed him. But his candidate lost the election miserably. Why?
Lost, you rigged them.
No, we don't. It was in the open. By now, we would have seen that we rigged. They even abandoned their office. They didn't go to their office because excitement is different from real work.
Okay,
This is like if someone goes for nyege nyege concert, this is like a mobilization for nyege nyege. You just go for entertainment, you dance and you have fun and you go back home. And in medicine they'll say you can't give someone painkiller, and when the person has malaria, if you go to a hospital, you have malaria and someone gives you painkiller, and the headache reduces a bit, the temperature reduces, doesn't mean you have been cured. The real issue we need to start asking ourselves: put Bobi Wine on camera, ask him his policy on the economy, his policy on increasing the tax base, the revenue base, his policy on attracting more foreign investors, his policy on changing the education curriculum, his policy on health, his policy on agriculture. Does he talk about them? The man goes and stands on the car and sings music, songs. That doesn't change the country. That is what we are talking about.
So speaking the truth to yourself, are you not worried about his mobilization power for your candidate?
We are not.
You're
We
not threatened by this man?
Besigye was bigger than Bobi Wine, for your information.
This man has doubled.
In the past, Besigye would come and everybody would run from his home to look for Besigye, climb roofs, but where is Besigye now? When Jimmy Akena, son of Obote, former founder of Fountain of
UPC.
Honor, went to Lango to contest, people thought the world was coming to an end. But where is he now? So these things we have seen, nothing excites people. We have seen them.
Aren't you worried?
And no, at all, we are not. This, you see, you can ruin a country from petty excitement. You don't need to get excited by such. You don't. These young people must be guided. Because if you keep promising, even a child at home, if you keep promising a child everything that you are going to be doing it, and the child can get excited, but at the end you fail to deliver, in less than 1 year, that child will turn against
Okay,
you.
okay. If not Bobi Wine, let's allow Museveni's son, Muhoozi.
No, it is not us to allow. It is the organization they belong to and the people of Uganda to decide. The party has a structure and systems within which leaders can emerge.
Is Muhoozi a member of your party? Is he a member of NRM?
By classical definition, he is not yet a member of the NRM. Why? Because he's a serving army officer and he has not yet registered to belong to any political party.
Would you love him?
But we believe that if he retires, definitely, I feel strongly that he should join NRM.
Would you attract him to your party, you think?
He has not talked about any other party apart from NRM. So I believe he's by other means a member of NRM. He has not talked against NRM in any way. He has always praised NRM. He has believed in NRM. So I believe he's NRM by association.
Mr. Secretary General, you're confirming to me that you are not scared by Bobi Wine's crowds,
Not
by
even,
the young people supporting this man?
Not even an inch. We are not. We are not. But let me tell you, a scared or a political party would by now be panicking. You don't be finding me in my office. But do you see any sign of panic in us? We are not, because we have seen these things.
We see panic because the police acting for you has stopped his rallies.
Police is not acting for us. Police is not acting on our behalf. By the way, that is something that people get wrong, because even in the last general election, our members were beaten by the police. Our members were harassed by the police. Our rallies were stopped by the Ugandan police. Why? Because when Bobi Wine started conducting his public rallies in the last general election, and yet for us we were conducting small meetings, town hall meetings because of COVID, some of our members went off, saying, no, if Bobi Wine can do this, why can't we also do it? They started mobilizing, defying the police, and they were beaten, they were tear gas and all that. So police does not act for NRM. They draw the rules, which is supposed to be respected by everybody, and we follow. Because the public that we talk to, we assume that some don't belong to our parties. And we have to allow them space to do their private work. So if the police is saying, don't bring your rally to a market, the market is a place where everybody goes. Those who support you and those who don't support you. Why do you want to interfere with somebody selling tomatoes and onions? Let them sell their products. Go take your rally somewhere else. When they're saying this is a one-way traffic road, don't follow this road because it will cause traffic jam in the city, and you insist you want to go there. That is where the problem is. So for us, we are disciplined. When we write, and everything we do, we write to the police. Say, okay, we have our activities in this and this and these places in this period. Please guide us. Is the place open? Can we do what else can we do? Because we're going to have this number of people. So the police writes back to us, okay, because of this, take your meeting in a field, take your meeting in this place, because there you'll not interfere with the traffic, you're not going to interfere with the market, you're not going to interfere with ordinary people doing their private business in town. But for Noob, unfortunately, they want to take their rallies in the market, which is wrong. They want to go right in the middle of the town, and then the whole town is in a.
It's paralyzed.
Yeah,
because of the law.
that is where the problem is.
There is one heartbreaker you can do. Are you bringing Mr. Museveni again in 2026?
What I can tell you is the party will bring a candidate. And from what I am picking, the party members seem to be saying President Museveni should come back in
Again.
2026.
Again?
Yes.
Really?
Be used to him. He's coming, and be ready for Museveni.
Oh, but it will be hard for you to take him through.
We always
You
like
will
to.
spend expensively if you had Mr. Museveni
We always
again.
don't go for easy things. We go for hard things. We shall handle. We shall handle. Nothing is easy. We handle hard things, and that is what we believe in.
You
NRM
can
stands
confidently take Museveni back to the
NRM
people.
stands for hard things. And I know Museveni is not something hard to market to Uganda. Oh, yes.
It has become hard.
To you,
The
but
pain.
not to us. We know.
Go to Busoga.
It's okay.
Millions of people chase from lakes. Their sugar cane at low prices.
They will understand that that is for their own benefit, not for Museveni, not for NRM, but for their own benefit. This lake that we're overfishing in, there was no fish. By now, there will be no fish. But they were just regulated that instead of fishing, getting nets that even getting small fish, you make nets that can get at least bigger fish than smaller ones, so that the small ones can grow. And tomorrow you keep fishing, you don't finish it from the lake. That is the. You see, when you explain, people understand. When you're saying don't over cultivate on swamps, don't bring maram and power in the swamps, in the wetlands, because of climate change, the weather is becoming a problem. Now we cannot even predict rain because of activities that we are taking to the swamps. Is that a bad thing? If the president is telling you that, is that bad? Because we want to protect the environment. The weather is becoming very hostile. You know how long it took the season to come. Now it's raining. Kampala is every time flooding. El Nino. We used not have this kind of El Nino. Something could be triggering it. In my area in the north, we used to have two planting seasons between March and May, and from July to October, November. But now we cannot even predict the rainfall. The rain delayed this time. People put their seeds in the ground. The rain came late. We don't even know whether we shall have harvest.
On the inside out,
yes,
with Mr. Richard Todwong. Richard, I have 3 last questions, and that will be it for you.
yes.
If you met Mr. Museveni today, and speaking about Uganda's politics, what would you tell him in a statement if you met him today?
One, you should know that there is nothing that the President Museveni doesn't know. Oh, yes.
He knows everything.
There is nothing that he
Our
doesn't know.
suffering,
He knows
high cost
everything.
of credit.
But he is a kind of leader who will tell you the truth the way it is. Museveni is not a leader who will camouflage to tell you a lie to comfort you. He will tell you the hard truth. You either deal with it or you hate him, but he will tell you the truth. You remember during COVID, when people were saying, no, lockdown is bad, you're killing our businesses, he would go on the TV and say, I am locking you more. You cry, but I want you to be safe. Are we not safe? That is the kind of leader I want for this country, and that is why we still want Museveni.
If you met Dr. Besigye today, you met in a lift, and you have to tell him one word in a minute, what would you tell him?
He should learn to listen. He should learn to cool down. He should stop being arrogant. He should stop being arrogant and learn how things are done.
That would be a minute done. Okay.
I would have finished.
If you met Uganda's most loved politician now, His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi. Hey.
Oh.
Is my statement correct?
It's correct.
Uganda's most loved political leader
most
of our
loved
time.
musician. Well, I would tell him.
If you met him.
Let me tell you something. Before I even tell you this, when President Museveni started his journey into politics in the early 60s, his interest was not to be a president. He even worked Amin took over power, but he knew Amin was the wrong person. He left Uganda immediately after Amin took over power. But he went and joined forces by others to come and remove Amin. He was not saying, I want to be a president as Museveni. No. Nyerere guided them. They came and removed Amin. And there was a new government. First, Lule was the president, you remember? Lule became very radical. He was speaking more of pro-Buganda. He was a Buganda nationalist. And then they said, no, let us get a more moderate Muganda. Binaiza was brought from London. He was a very Polish lawyer, speaking Queen's English. He was brought. How many months was he a president? Few months. Then there was an election. Paul Mwanga took over everything almost because of that failure of those good friends. And then we went into that. Even up to that time, Museveni did not show anybody that he wanted to be a president. He was seeing them, how they were failing this country. They went back. When Obote took over, that was when Obote, UPC cheated DP. DP Semgera was supposed to be the president in 1980 election. I'm sure you remember that history.
Yes.
When UPC cheated DP, that was when Museveni said, no. At this time, we need to rescue this country from this. And even then, he did not struggle to be a president. He went to Nyerere. Mark this. And by the way, when the president was running through this journey, he went to be close to Nyerere in Dar es Salaam to learn, because Nyerere was a Pan-Africanist, like Kwame Nkrumah, Kaunda and others. So he wanted to learn from the best. And he went closer to Nyerere to learn governance and leadership. Even at that time, he did not say, I want to be a president. He was still a student of Nyerere. After learning, when it came to now a struggle, Nyerere could not even give him advice that, no. When you're struggling in a guerrilla way, you do this. No. Museveni went to Mozambique to learn guerrilla war tactics. And that could not be provided by Nyerere. So it's learning. What I'm saying is learning. Be humble. Learn from the best. Chagolanye, where has he learned from? From being a popular musician, now he feels he's a popular politician. But governance is something else. To govern is something else, which unfortunately my young brother Chagolanye is being misled. This country is very complex. With your popularity, if the country is given to you in 1 week, believe me, Chagolanye will be no more.
On the inside out.
Yes.
It's been wonderful having you.
It's a pleasure.
Mr. Secretary General.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Be blessed always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Inside Out.